And when you talk about referees, oh my Romain Poite.
This was going to be my point, Goody. Can I talk a little bit about him and where the questions come through, and a lot of people are talking about it. Mine stemmed from Romain Poite from the weekend. I thought he was shocking.
No.
Genuinely, I thought you look at the standard of players on show, we talk about the physicality, we can maybe talk about some law changes which we think might help. But ultimately, if you've got a referee that isn't refereeing the game to the standard which it needs to be reffed at, it's going to be a difficult one to talk about. We can talk about the high tackle from Elliot Daly and taking Bigger out in the air as well. The big one for me is around the scrum, because the scrum saps the energy out of the spectators. That's what I think in the reset. Now, I'm watching the game unfold, and he is making the wrong calls at the scrum, Romain Poite.
What spectators are you talking about, by the way?
The people watching it on TV.
Okay.
Anywhere.
There's no fans. There's no fans.
All the 5 people watching it at home. Sorry, all the 5 people watching it in the stadium. But I'm watching the scrums, and I'm not a scrum expert, but I understand the scrums. I understand when there needs to be a reset. You can see when a player or a prop slipped. You can see when players are trying to cheat, which they don't do anymore because the players want it in and out mainly. You'll get a dominant scrum who want to keep it in. It's very rare now that scrums just get pulled down or there's a manipulation around there. The players want the game to move forward. I'm watching him referee the scrum. It was nothing worse than shocking when I'm watching it. So that's one thing that we can talk about. What happens with all these scrum resets? And then that probably brings me on to the point where I'm going to talk about the 5-second rule around the long rucks and the box kicks. There ain't 5 seconds. You can have a crack about it. It's 10 seconds, 15, 20, 25. Now, if they do take longer than 5 seconds...
You're good at maths, mate. You've just gone up in 5s then.
Well, exactly. You can do it in 50s. It doesn't really matter the ball's in there that long. But what I'm saying, so if the referee does call that it's too long, what do they say? They go back and say, right, it's a free kick. And then what do most teams do with a free kick?
Oof it.
Scrum.
Or they do put a bomb up, depends where it is.
No, so, sorry. If you're box kicking out of your kind of 10 metres out from the try line and you're longer than 5 seconds, we've maybe seen 3 or 4 in the last month. The referee says, use it. If you don't use it, it's going to be a free kick. Most teams will then go for a scrum. Okay? I think what I've really enjoyed about Exeter started the trend is a tap and go. Just go. So I think that's one thing they need to take out. If there's a free kick, forget the scrum. Tap and go, big fella. Do you know what I mean? Tap and go, or if it's defensively, give them a long arm, give them a penalty.
My other argument with the scrum, and I understand that, Jim, and I completely agree with a lot of it. My only thing with the scrum, and as a back, my perspective on that is it is the best time, if you can just have a solid platform, you've got 8 players tied up from each team. So you've got more space than when you're attacking against a solid defensive line that are just flying off the line. So I used to love scrums and trying to formulate an attack to break down and manipulate a defence, because effectively a lot of the time you can have all 7 backs in a backs move from a left-hand side scrum coming up against 4.5 defenders. And that's where a back should get excited. But we're not being able to see that because scrums just aren't being completed. It's then going to a free kick and then, resets. And you're right, referees like Romain Poite just do not have a clue. And I'm saying that as an Englishman who, we got 95% of the decisions going our way at the weekend. Imagine being Welsh and watching Romain Poite win that. Imagine being Welsh and watching Romain Poite referee that game. I'm not taking anything away from England. We thoroughly deserved to win and it wouldn't have changed anything. But he was brutal. But
you can't say anything, can you, from a Welsh perspective, because it looks like it's sour grapes. I know that Wayne Pivac's come out and mentioned the scrum, but I'm watching it and I'm thinking, mate, we're talking about 2 of the best teams in the world playing rugby here, and your TMO's calling in something, and people are moaning about the TMO. I think the TMOs are great when they call in instances off the ball and stuff that the referee misses, because you're going to miss a load of stuff because of the amount of stuff that's going on. So as the referee, especially if it's foul play, it's not no. It's got, okay, the TMO's picked it. He's probably watched it 5 times before he's called it in. And he said, he's like, no. I know, no.
Do you know what Romain Poite actually said? And I think I heard it right. When the TMO had buzzed into him to say about Bigger being taken out in the air. He said, no, he jumped into him. He's basically trying to blame Bigger for jumping in to Sam Underhill in the air. I'm like, what are you on about, Roman? You absolute yeehaw cowboy.